So at the end of last term, I asked my students to reflect on what they wish they had known at the beginning of the quarter. So these recordings are my students from last term, and they're the advice that they wished to pass on to you. So I hope this helps, and here we go.
So the class is difficult. There's a lot of intense material and it's a lot to take in at first. I encourage trying to make friends with classmates if you can, because it makes the struggle of how difficult the class can feel at first feel a lot less alone when you have friends to help and study with. I feel like you definitely get out of the class what you put into it. Holly offers a ton of resources to help, like study guides, practice exams, and open hours. And if your schedule doesn't allow for the already established open hours, she'll make time for them. Holly's super willing to help, which is cool. And although the class is really difficult, I found it super fun and rewarding. The topics are super interesting, and the end of the term feels kind of bittersweet.
I don't have a script, but I'm just going to stay what's on my mind. For this class, I really just communicate with each other and with the teacher, especially with open hours, or also known as office hours. What I didn't do was, yeah, participate in mostly in office hours, and I regret it. I did set up a conference with the teacher towards the end of the term, but that's kind of too late. I recommend doing it all throughout the term. At first, I didn't do that because I was confident in my first exam score, which I thought, oh, I can just do on my own. But even if you are confident in your abilities, you should be always, always try to do better, learn more with the teacher, and ask questions, even if they're little questions, and especially if they're very large questions, not just about the class, but just about how to study efficiently and just get through with the class with ease instead of just relying on yourself.
Here's my advice to students entering cell biology. 1. Actually read the book and plan on it to take at least 3 hours per week to read and properly take notes. 2. Don't let yourself think the material's easy, the tests will tell you otherwise. 3. The labs will be the easiest part of this course.
So the class itself is challenging and can be overwhelming at times. However, it's also a routine that you kind of get used to, um, based off on how Holly puts out the assignments throughout the week, making it easier to fill out your planner and plan ahead, which I definitely suggest. Something I encourage is finding someone that you can work well with in a class to get together and discuss study guides, or in general, like anything that you feel the need to get together for, maybe prepare for an exam or something like that. Personally, that's something that made me have a better experience um, within the class, kind of prepare myself a lot more. I'm someone that kind of needs to speak about things in order to get a better understanding rather than just writing them out all the time. So that helped me a lot. And yeah, it's gonna feel good towards the end of the term.
From the beginning of the course to it being the end of the term now, I have to say the greatest thing that I've learned in this class was the components that everything is made out of. To find out that everything is just carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen with some nitrogen and phosphate, but the molecules are rearranged in different ways with different groups, carboxyl groups, amino acid groups. But to find out that all things that are life are as basic as carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen, just put in different ways, is I'm still having kind of like an issue getting my head around it. But I'd have to say that learning what I have learned about molecules, um, atoms, from an ion to an anion to an isotope to isomer, like you're going to hear all of these different forms of particles. You can call them particles, you know. You're going to hear all about this added there means that. If you take this away from that, it becomes that. Like, you know, from everything to how you cook will change. Like, what I have learned has changed how I cook, what I cook sometimes, depending on how we feel. Learning, like, when you're mixing food, it's like, oh, that bonded to this, and this is why this has this sort of feel to it, and things that sort of like, it's just going to take your mind in a whole lot of different places. Some of the material is hard to grasp because maybe you were, you know, in high school and you took a biology class, you know, maybe you're into science and things of that sort, and so you've got kind of a little concept of what is and what isn't. But when you learn the intricacies of what biology is, it just takes you in a whole different direction. And so my best advice would be broaden your horizon as far as what you think you know about biology, and learn how to learn differently, because you're gonna have to learn differently. But but I can just say broaden your horizons, and if you need help, ask for it. You know, ask questions. Do not be shy or ashamed to ask questions. Ask questions, and use your professor's brain. You know, she is very good with answering the questions. She won't give you the answer, but she'll answer your question. That's a matrix question for you. So, all of you enjoy the term study, 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 and apply what you've learned to everything. The more you apply what you're learning to everyday things, the better you'll be able to grasp concepts and be able to identify what's going on when you're reading it. That's the best way I can say that you should be okay in this class. If you can say this glass is made of this and this and that, the molecules are structured this way, this is what it looks like if you're able to draw it and things of that sort. Or to say this had this liquid had CO2 in it. What is CO2 composed of? How are the molecules set up for that? You know, what about the coloring? How come there's more coloring on one side than the other? You know, if you put ice in it, does the ice begin to get colored, or what happens? Like, you know, stuff like that. Those are diffusion, osmosis, stuff like that. You know, but enjoy the course and do your best to apply everything that you're learning to everything. If you can apply it to everything, then you can grasp it.